Let's do it. Hello, good people. Oh, I should do this here. Yes, I do this because I can't tell what the videos are about. I look at all these and they all look the same. This will tell me this is about croupier. Today we have a word that I just discovered what it means, and it's amazing. The origin of croupier. When I think of croupier, I think of gambling casino, Monte Carlo, the 007, suavely walking down there, sipping his whatever martini, and you can hear the soft murmur of voices, these 1,000 franc chips going down, and people betting that the ultra rich. And then you have these dealers who are at each table, raking in the money, dealing the cards. They are elegantly dressed, impeccable, uh, very cool, very calm and cool. They're in charge of that gambling table. That's what a croupier is. So I found out today where it comes from. Uh, and because it related to a word that I've heard all my life. When we were kids around the table, my mama would sometimes make stewed chicken. My mom and dad were both French. I mean, they grew up speaking French. They had to learn English in their teens. So one of the jokes with the stewed chicken and gravy, oh, I'm hungry. God, I can remember the taste of the stewed chicken and gravy with the rice. Oh. Anyway, one of the jokes around the table was who was going to get the croupier, because in French, well, anyway, one of the pieces is the rear end of the chicken, the last piece to go over the fence. Um, and we didn't know. You couldn't tell basically what piece you were getting, and you weren't allowed to poke around. So you got a piece, but the croupier didn't have much meat on it, and it was the rear end. But so I grew up learning. I knew what that word meant. That's what my parents called it. So, but today I learned that croupier comes from the rear end of a horse. Yes, it does. Because this is the origin. The knights in the Middle Ages would travel very light. They would only have a servant or their squire or somebody, the arms bearer, who would ride on the back of their horse. They didn't have their own horse. So the knight would travel around and he'd have his armor and everything on his horse, and his servant would be sitting in the back there, bouncing up and down on the rear end. And then um, when several knights got together and they camped at night, of course, there would be some drinking of wine and there would be gambling because that's what other entertainment did they have. So the squires, the servants, among them would draw lots to see who would be the person to deal the cards, an impartial person who would be the one to stand there, deal the cards, pass the money around, do whatever's necessary. And so, being a croupier, this is what they were called because they rode on the rear end of a horse. The name switched from the servant to the person who would be in charge of the gambling. And that's where we get the word from today, croupier. It's amazing. So croupier comes from the horse's rear end. An additional fact that you're not interested in, but there's a disease called the croup. At least we used to have one. You had the croup. It was this horrible cough. That was terrible sound in your lung, deep in your lungs. The croup. I found out that that comes from what noise sometimes comes from the rear end of a horse. More stuff that you had no interest in knowing, but now you know, and you can pass this on to you to anybody that you can uh, hang on to and keep from running away. This is Phil. I'll be back with more interesting words and phrases, origins, sometime in the future. Today is July 24th, I think, 2022.